A boost for athletes beating the coronavirus. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of the Around the Rings podcast. I'm Ed Hula. Today, we're talking about the BOOST2020 Athlete Grant Program. It's a project of the Foundation for Global Sports Development and Sidewinder Films. The foundation is a sponsor of Around the Rings. The grants will support high-performance athletes whose lives have been affected. Their training has been negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Each recipient of the grant gets an unrestricted amount of $10,000. The grant applications opened in July and closed in mid-August. Athletes who are getting ready to compete at the 2020 Games in Tokyo were encouraged to apply. Close to 100 applications were received. 10 athletes were chosen. The list includes, drum roll please, Byron Branch, a parafencer, Felicia Brown in track and field, Amanda Dennis, goalball, Ella Easton in swimming, Desmond Jackson, a long jumper, Dee Marinko, a sitting volleyball player. We'll be hearing more from him in just a minute. Pearl Outlaw, a rower, Jennifer Schubel in cycling, Aaron Shady's triathlon, and Shannon Solaris Roberry in track and field. Our guests on today's program include Megan Halicek, Director of Programs at the Foundation for Global Sports Development. Hello, Megan.
Hello.
And John Moffet, a BOOST2020 advisory member. He's been involved with the selection process. He's an Olympian from the 1980 and 1984 Olympics in swimming. Hello, John. He's joining us from Los Angeles.
Hi, Ed. Great to be here.
And our star guest, we'll say, is Dee Marinko, a member of the U.S. sitting volleyball team, 3 times a silver medalist at the Parapans in 2011, 2015, and 2019, and getting ready to make waves in Tokyo. And he joins us from his home in Oklahoma.
Welcome to having me.
Yeah, welcome, JD. The awards came out in August. Notification of the awards, I believe. What was it like the day you found out you gotten the $10,000 grant from the foundation? A good day, I think.
It was an amazing day with everything that's going on. To actually hear that, I was shocked. At first, I thought, "Is this really happening? Is this really me? Did I really get that lucky and blessed?" And it was amazing. It brought me to tears because of everything that's been going on. You know, all the hardships of not being able to train and worrying about, you know, working and taking care of the family and still training, and then hearing this news. It was amazing. It was a blessing. I was like, "Oh, thank God!" Like, I can't believe this is happening. This is such a true blessing for me. You know, I was just amazed.
Well, Megan, you just heard from JD. Why start this program? What was the rationale for doing it? To make people like JD happy one day?
Absolutely. So our mission at the Foundation for Global Sports Development is to utilize the power of sport to enrich the lives and the well-being of others. So we, like the rest of the world, have seen all of the devastating effects of the pandemic and just how difficult it's been for high-performance athletes like JD to continue working towards and accomplishing their dreams. And we know athletes have lost jobs that funded training, meals, transportation, healthcare, insurance, so much more. So we really wanted to create this program and offer a boost in the right direction for athletes like JD so they can continue all of their incredibly hard work.
Yeah, how'd you get the word out?
Sure. So, well, first I'll say that we received close to 100 applications from athletes around the country, just an amazing, amazing array of athletes. And we had a phenomenal advisory board that John Moffet was, of course, a part of, who selected our 10 winners and sifted through those applications. And then also we relied closely on our partners like you at Around the Rings and social media to get the word out.
And is there a goal for this new program? Do you want to sustain it? Is there going to be a need for it to continue next year, for example?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think absolutely we are taking each day as it comes. I think like everyone else is around the country and the world right now. So 100% we hope to continue to offer assistance to these athletes. Anything they need, we have just like so many resources available we're willing to offer, and we want to help as much as we possibly can. We know what a stressful time this can be. So definitely.
JD, you didn't get coronavirus, did you?
No, I have not. I've had some friends and some teammates that have been affected by it, and we were actually at camp, and we had to call camp because we had an athlete affected. So we took the steps to stay away, and I've been real safe. It's been difficult because I do have 4 kids. I've got a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and 2-year-old twins, and it has been a little difficult with them. But my twins get into everything, and I'm trying to be, don't want to be too cautious, but I'm like, you're going to be boys, you're going to play. So, it's been difficult, that aspect for sure. But luckily we have, knock on wood, we have not been affected yet.
But it has affected certainly the interruption and the competition routine, the changes that you've had to make getting ready, the postponement of the Paralympics by 1 year. That's those are the kind of negative impacts that coronavirus has had on your athletic career, fair to say.
Yeah. Last spring, we were training for the qualifier in March to be held here in Oklahoma. And we were going to start on Monday, and Friday we're training, we're working out with other teams, and we get told on that Friday to go home, that we're canceling everything. We're not letting other countries fly in. We're canceling because of COVID. So, I've put in years and years of work, but as a team and as a whole, we were 3-4 months solid of working out, training and being together. To have it taken away in a matter of it seemed like a matter of hours. It was hard. It was very difficult to deal with and understand, are we going to have a chance to qualify? I put in, I don't know how many years of over me personally, over 10 years of trying to get here and represent my country at the Olympics or Paralympics, and to have it taken away, it was very difficult, very hard to wrap my brain around, because it's like, wait a minute, am I going to have this opportunity again? Or is it being taken away for good? And luckily, they did push it back. But now our qualifying event is coming up later on this in 2021. So we got till February to get into top shape as a team to qualify, so we can go to Tokyo.
John Moffet, in 1980, you maybe had sort of a similar kind of experience, not because of disease, but because of international politics. Your Olympic dreams were derailed, put on hold. You weren't going to get a chance to come back a year later and compete. Talk about that experience and maybe how it might parallel with what GSD is trying to do with this BOOST2020 athlete grant program, how it helps athletes of today overcome this disruption in their training for the games.
Well, when I was asked to be on this committee, I was just thrilled that I was going to be able to give back in such a way, because as you said, that I know what it feels like, and the rest of the 1980 team can relate to what it must feel like to the 2020 Olympics and Olympians and Paralympians who have to delay their dreams and have to delay their training for another year. It's a big deal. And when you are training at the top of your game and you're competing against other athletes who are also doing the same, that 1 year is a long time. So I can definitely relate, because I had to wait 4 years, but keep in mind, I was young, I was very optimistic, and fortunately it worked out for me. But I know what the athletes are experiencing right now, because it's just really, when you focus on 2020 and you can't go there, it's really demoralizing and very, very difficult. And I know athletes personally who've just decided, I can't take it, and that's heartbreaking. And I know what it's like to not be able to really support myself, because I was as a post grad back in the 80s, there was no grant that grants that were provided for athletes, and I tried to do it on my own, and it ended up being a disaster. Basically because I didn't have enough money. I had to work 4 hours a day plus commute an hour each way plus all my training, and it all added up to just too much. So to be able to give back to the athletes such as JD and the other athletes, it's so meaningful to me because I know what they're going through just a little bit, just enough to know how important that this money could be. It could be the difference between making it and breaking it. And I mean, JD, I'm sure could talk more about that, but it was just a thrill to be involved with such an amazing gift that the Global Sports Development has provided for the athletes.
What did you go through when you looked at the applications from JD and the other athletes who were looking for this to apply for this grant? What kind of things jumped out at you about JD's application and some of the others that you've seen?
Well, first and foremost, they were all very deserving athletes. And as Megan said, that it was started out as 100 or so, and then it was culled down to less for the advisory board. So there was already a lot of work that was done on by the Global Sports Development and Sidewinder Films. So when it came to us, we were provided by Global Sports Development a rubric, and this rubric is basically was a scoring guide for us to be able to read and absorb each one of the applications and really sort of objectively as possible give our scores on a number of different things. And then what we were able to do, I actually went through a number of times, and through each iteration, I felt more and more comfortable with, okay, I feel good about this score on this particular aspect. And then what we did is that, I don't know how many people were on the board. I can't remember. It was about 8 of us. And then we all put in our scores, and then all those scores were added up, and then they figured it out which of those top 10 athletes ended up getting the grant.
Fair to say that there were more than 10 athletes who were probably deserving of the help.
That was definitely the hardest thing for me, is that I only had 20 athletes. I think, or maybe it was 22. It was 22 actually. So I only had 22 athletes, and I just felt very, very deeply that I really, really needed to give this everything I had, and really, really absorb each one of these applications so that I could be part of this group that would ultimately determine who these athletes were that were able to receive these grants that could make a big difference in whether or not they go to 2021 or not.
Yeah, hard to keep it at 10, Megan, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes. These athletes are incredible. And even just looking at JD specifically, everything he's gone through, surviving cancer and taking care of his 4 children, and just really creating a lot of inspiration, I think, for people in his community, people going through similar experiences. And that was something really key that we looked for in those incoming applications. And all these athletes, not only did they have a serious COVID-19 impact on their training, their competition, but also they were making a difference. They were participating in community service. They were contributing to making an impact and inspiring others in their communities, just like JD, who set such a great example, not only for his 4 children, but everyone, I'm sure, that comes into contact with him. So, and I love also on JD's application, he said, I want people to know that, you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. And that's just a great testament to him and all these athletes.
So JD, what's ahead for you in the coming months here to get ready for the qualification in February?
It's going to be a lot of training. We ramped up our training camps. We're taking all the precautions to make sure we can get everybody in. Me personally, it's still training every day. I lucky and fortunate to have a job now again, thankfully. I work at a school district around here, so I get to actually go in the mornings. I get to lift weights. I get to train. Then I'm there throughout the day to help the kids. And then after that, it's anytime I can get on the court individually. If I can find one, I go play, hit the ball against the wall, do some ball handling stuff. And then usually once a month, I know in about a week, we have training camp here in Edmond, and then we'll have another training camp in December and then January. And then if everything goes to plan, we'll be going to Germany in February to qualify. So that's our plan. Hopefully knock on wood, nobody gets hit by COVID, so we can have training camps and we can keep competing and getting better and, get our way to Tokyo 2020 or 2021. I'm not sure which one to call it, but that great opportunity. So I can't wait.
Yeah. What are your other teammates doing? Where are they? Are they scattered around the United States as well?
Yes. Right now in our resident program, which is here in Oklahoma, we have, I want to say, 5 or 6 that are here full time. That get to train full time 5 days a week. Everyone else that's that's around the U.S., they'll fly in. So the ones that aren't here have to go out and do it individually. They take the time out of their day and they're training, whether it's lifting weights or on the court training, ball handling skills, things like that. But we're all doing something so that when we come in and have our training camp for the weekend, we're actually competing at a high level, not just going back over the basic stuff. So we're all staying in shape. We're all doing what we can because we know we have to be in tip-top shape in February.
Yeah. Is the coronavirus going to change your sport? Is it changing the way athletes of 2020, whatever your sport, how are things changing permanently?
Well, I know for us, the big change that we have now is we actually have to wear a mask when we play. So before we didn't have to wear a mask. I mean, just like nobody really had to wear a mask or anything like that. But now we're wearing a mask while we play. It's hand sanitizer all the time because we are sitting on the floor. Our staff is doing a great job of making sure that everything that the balls, the floor, the nets and everything is sanitized during camp so that we minimize the risk and for anybody being affected. But, our main thing is the mask. And for us, for me personally, it's hard because I do have a big beard. So, it does kind of it looks kind of funny because I'll have hair going everywhere outside of the mask. But, that's kind of a thing we have to get used to. Now, I don't know how that's going to affect actually matches. I don't know if that's going to be mandatory during a match. But I know for our training purposes, that's what we have to do. Those are our guidelines right now. And, that's for me, that's our biggest obstacle right now.
John Moffet, what would you imagine it would have been like for you in 1984 if something like COVID had hit? I mean, did you ever have, not going to the Olympics in 1980, that was a big blow for sure. But the stress and strain of this pandemic, did you have anything like that in your athletic career to deal with?
Aside from the boycott in 1980, no. I think this whole COVID thing that has cropped up in 2020 has left all of us rather flat-footed and speechless as far as how we describe how much this is affecting our lives. How much has been canceled in our lives, how much has been postponed. And I'm not even talking about those that have lost loved ones or loved ones who've been very, very ill. So the gravity of the COVID situation and of the postponement of the 2020 Tokyo Games, in many ways it's more about saving lives, and it's much more. I don't want to say grave, but there's like. It's a real global emergency that we are dealing with here. And unfortunately, athletes such as JD and all the other athletes who are aspiring to compete in 2021 in Tokyo, my hat's off to them because they're dealing with something that is completely unprecedented and nobody knows quite how to deal with this or how things are even going to necessarily proceed. I mean, JD doesn't even know how the masks are going to work in competition. We just don't know. And I think it's not knowing is so difficult on everyone, especially athletes.
And Megan Halicek, how would GSD respond? What more can be done in the way of aid and assistance to overcome this COVID-19?
Absolutely. Well, I think just talking about it and the transparency is a huge, huge help, because people can be really open about what they're going through. And I know even mental health wise, this is such a difficult time for so many people, not to mention athletes who already have these really intense schedules, so much going on. They're trying to take care of and protect their bodies, not to mention their mental health. So I think as we continue to talk about this and be open and allow people to share their struggles, we can help find resources and support them, and just let people know that we're here and that there's always help available. They just have to ask.
And JD, to close it out here, you are, we believe, going to Tokyo. I mean, in terms of if you qualify, the games are on the horizon. They're not canceled. What's it mean for you to have that star to shoot for in Tokyo for 2021?
I mean, this is the why. You know, my reason why I do this is for my kids, to show my kids that no matter what obstacle you're facing, you can overcome it and achieve greatness. And that's what my message to my kids all the time is that. And I talk to them about my volleyball, and they're like, Dad, so when are you going to play in the Olympics? When are you going to go do this? When are you going to do that? And I said, buddy, that's why I train. That's why I work out all the time. That, you know, that's the sacrifices we have to make to get there, and to have that goal. I mean, it's for me, but my biggest thing is to show my kids that, again, back to, you know, what Megan said earlier, no matter what happens, you can overcome anything and achieve greatness. And that to me means more than anything. You know, I do this, you know, not only for my kids, but maybe somebody out there who's struggling through life, and they see somebody who went through what I did, you know, beating cancer and then fighting through all these things, and I'm able to achieve greatness and represent my country at you know, the most prestigious games that we have. Maybe that can inspire them to know that I can do it, you know, and not just succumb to that circumstance or that situation, and don't let it define you, but define it. You know, what am I going to do? Am I going to sit there and let this thing beat me, or am I going to beat it? You know, and that's kind of what I hope somebody, you know, can take away from it. If they see me achieving what I can achieve, and they know that I did it, you know, they can do it too. So that's a big, big thing for me.
Well, best of luck to you, JD Marinko.
Thank you so much.
Counting on seeing you in Tokyo at the Paralympics competing in sitting volleyball.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I get there, for sure.
And John Moffet joining us from Los Angeles, helping select JD Marinko, and other members of the BOOST 2020 grant program. Thanks for joining us today.
It's great to be here, and it was an honor to be part of the BOOST program for Foundation for Global Sports Development and Sidewinder Films.
And Megan Halicek, thank you again for getting all of this together, and appreciate the help and assistance of GSD through the years. Good luck to you and the fine programs that you're running there.
Thank you. It's been an absolute honor. Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us on this edition of Around the Rings podcast. I'm Ed Hula. Remember, be calm, be safe. For more than 3 decades, your best source of news about the Olympics and the Paralympics too is AroundTheRings.com.